Thank you for joining us today for the virtual Sunday service with the Center for Creative Living. CCL, a charter of the Universal Church of the Master, has served and supported the spiritual needs of its community here in the Bay Area for over 20 years.
Good morning, and thank you all for joining us. We're going to start this morning a little bit differently because we had a member of our congregation pass away. A lot of you had never met Clyde because his health had been keeping him from coming to church. He had been a very, very strong member of the Center for Infinite Growth, which is a UCM charter, and then when they closed their charter down as far as doing church, he came to our church. So he had been with us for many, many years. We were thinking it was about 15 years. And the thing is that Clyde Chesney, one of the things about him, he was very quiet, and yet he watched everything. He knew what was going on. He could tell you what people had worn. He had the eye of a photographer. And the photographs that he took were incredible. And one thing that he so loved was to go to the beach with us when we used to do Thanksgiving at the beach. And every year we'd have Thanksgiving at the beach. And I was talking to Corky about this. He would have hated what happened to Seacliff, because that's where we always went. And last time we were there, it was still in shambles, and it got hit again with this last storm. The boat is almost gone there. And so the thing about, well, look who's coming. And the thing about Clyde taking pictures at the beach, it always gave him something to do, but it gave us very few pictures of Clyde. He was always behind the camera. Clyde was very tall, very thin man, and we were always trying to keep him warm. I mean, each Christmas we'd give him another flannel shirt. Then somebody gave him a scarf for Christmas because he wasn't cold. We just thought he should be because yeah. His birthday was the 24th of December, and a way we found out that he had passed is he said he didn't want to keep getting Christmas cards for his birthday. And so every year I'd send him a birthday card. And this year I sent him a birthday card, and it came back not deliverable at this address. And that immediately we got a hold of the mobile home park, and I got a hold of his sister, and she told us that she hadn't been able to find anybody to talk to, and because she had lost my address and phone number and even my email. So we had a long conversation, and I said, well, where is he? And she said, oh, he has been cremated. But they had a problem, and for those of you who work in hospitals, maybe you can explain to me how. She said that they didn't know for sure it was him who had passed because he didn't have the identification that he needed. And I said, well, did they look at his pacemaker? Don't they have a number on a pacemaker? Now, do pacemakers have numbers? Oh, you have to find the manufacturer, everything. Well, anyway, they ascertained that it was Clyde because they called in the person who runs the mobile home park, and she could identify that's who it was. So we don't know any other of the circumstances except that his sister was so glad, and she's going to be on Zoom today, hopefully, from North Dakota. And so she can see that we all loved and cared and appreciated Clyde, because when you're living states away from loved ones, sometimes it's hard to know what's been happening. Well, interestingly enough, the day I got a hold of her is the day that they spread his ashes. And they spread him, she said that they had been cremated by a company that she got a hold of here. And then they were strewn and I guess that's the word, they're strewn near the Golden Gate Bridge. And when I heard that, it was like, oh, he loved the ocean. And he would drive up to San Francisco to take pictures of the bridge. And so that is one of those things that is just amazing, to have that energy of Clyde being there at the Golden Gate Bridge. So every time now when I see the bridge, I know I'm going to remember Clyde. And his energy was always so quiet and so peaceful. I never saw the man get upset. I heard him swear a bit every once in a while at his photography. His camera and he had a very interesting relationship, and he'd get upset, but not at people. I never heard him talk badly about a person or talk badly about anybody, even politically or all the other things that people go nattering about. That wasn't Clyde. He was always very calm and quiet. He had a girlfriend who had attended church, and she contacted me and said she's sorry she couldn't be here today. Her father passed the same week that Clyde did, so she's not going to be here. So for those of you who had never met Clyde, we've got these pictures, and these are the few pictures that we can find. We have hundreds of pictures that he's taken, but now none of him. So whoever that took these pictures, that we thank them very much thank you, Corky, for honoring Clyde, because that was real important for us. He was 83 years old, and he had never been married. And he is one of those people that when I talked to him, he said everybody in his mobile home park was now Vietnamese. And I said, well, is that okay with you? He said, it's fine with me. I am right now teaching people English. Isn't that a great way of, not instead of go, rah, 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 I'm teaching people English. And I said, well, good for you, Clyde. I think that's great. And what that type of person, people weren't different. He just wanted to speak more in his language, so that's what he was doing. So good for Clyde. Now, our wonderful Reverend Lynn Rogers knew Clyde quite well. Lynn, would you like to come up and say a few words? Just come on up and sit right here on this chair next to me.
Oh, I would, thank you. I met Clyde probably when I met Janet back in the early 80s, taking training with Reverend Tom Gary's Center for Infinite Growth. And over the years, the decades, Clyde was that quiet presence. He was humble, as Doti said, and helpful. And he was just, we had retreats near the beach. He was always that presence. And when my husband died in 2009, I was left with being a technical non-entity, not knowing how to rescue some of the books that Joe and I had been working on. And Clyde probably tore his hair out a few times helping me, and I always appreciated that. But again, he was, in ways like Joe, he was that person who didn't push himself forward, helped others, and I think he's an old soul that Edgar Casey would probably call, one of those angels that came to help everybody else. And so I think it's wonderful that we're here with Doti and with the group and can honor him. He was that steady presence, wasn't he? That steady presence. Probably others have sharings as well.
And I just wanted to add, if I could, you can stay right here, Lynn. So Clyde was our first lay member of UCM.
Oh, that's true.
He was our first lay member of UCM. So he opened it up and, said you don't have to be a reverend or a minister or a healer to be a part of UCM. And so he created that incredible spiritual dimension. Everything Clyde did, I can remember early morning meditations, New Year's Eve meditations at 4 o'clock.
Oh, that's right.
a.m.
That's
and
right.
Clyde would be there so devotedly, and he would set the energy. And so whenever we did meditation, Clyde would actively set the energy.
That's right.
Actively set the energy for the incredible spiritual dimension that he brought into us. He was an incredibly spiritual and incredibly powerful human being.
He really,
Just incredibly kind.
he really embodied what Edgar Casey said. Jesus' prayer was others, Lord, others.
Jan,
You know.
why don't you stay up here with your guitar so we can do a meditation for Clyde? Okay, thank you, Lynn.
Thank you so much.
April, did you want to say anything? You don't have to move.
Okay, well, Clyde and I had a lovely relationship. He supported me when we did Monday meditations. He'd come and set up. But what I remember most is when I was at Center for Infinite Growth and doing the altars. One time I wanted to do a garden altar, and I came in with a bucket of dirt to put on the altar, and it literally rattled him. But by the time it was finished, he was okay with it. But it was just, I think I helped him just stretch a little, because the way I do things was very different than the way he did. And he was always willing to come early, make sure things are set up. He was very worried about the world. Whenever we would do meditation, he always wanted to share what was on his heart. And that was a perfect place to bring it. And we would sit and listen to him kind of process the struggle and pain he had witnessing the suffering on the planet. So he was definitely a beautiful soul, and I'm so glad I had all those years with him.
Thank you so much. Anybody else like to share anything about Clyde? Okay, Janet, could you do the meditation to Clyde?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I just want to offer to each and every one of you, please take Clyde into your heart. Take Clyde into your heart. His energy, his spirit is infinite. And what he represented was kind of the purest expression of how to be a spiritual being on the earth. He was very unpretentious, very humble.
I think he only had 2 shirts.
I think you're right. And probably they've come from you later on in his life.
He would always wear a flannel shirt and
Yeah.
a T-shirt underneath, and when it got really hot, he took off the flannel shirt.
Exactly.
There was a green one and a gray one, I think, but, yeah, the simplicity.
Yes. So he truly was the monk archetype. I would call him the monk archetype. Just so devoted, but so unpretentious, and yet so powerful.
Right.
I can remember, again, doing our meditations on a monthly basis after 9/11, 2001. He would come in and just set that energy. He would set that energy, and he would just be the embodiment of it. So this is for Clyde. And this is for all of us, that we take Clyde into our hearts and that we give our hearts to Clyde.
So if you just close your eyes, take a nice deep breath. And for those of you who knew Clyde, just visualize him in your mind's eye. And for those of you who didn't, just feel that an angel will be guiding you during this time.
And we just invite you to feel that connection, to know that Clyde is just a breath away, just a memory away. And as we lift up our hearts and our gratitude to Clyde, I'm going to offer to Clyde, receive our love, O beautiful one. Receive our admiration, our deep respect, and our joy at all that you have brought us. Every moment you have created. an amazing matrix of healing and help and joy. And in your quiet way, you were very definite about what you did and how you did it. We honor the gifts of wisdom that you have taught us about the simplicity of being true. And may we claim those qualities of wisdom, compassion, generosity, support, and humility that you have given us. And Clyde, we know that our bonds of love can never be broken, that you live in our hearts, that you bring forward and bring forth that incredible energy that is infinite. And so receive our river of love that we send to you, our river of gratitude, and our river of deep respect and admiration. May you feel it lift your spirit up on the wings of your journey. And may you know that we so love you and so respect you. Fly free, oh Clyde, fly free on the wings of your destiny, and take the love from our hearts from this moment to start. Oh, your new life journey, reaching for the sky. Ooh, the rhythm of the ocean, like a lullaby, reminds us of your tenderness, your strength and your love, reminds us of your quiet peace, gentle as a dove. Oh, fly home, our friend, fly home. You are not alone. Take the love from our hearts to celebrate your life. Fly free, oh Clyde, fly free. We'll hold your memory and take the love from our hearts and fly free. Oh, Clyde, fly free. Take our love and fly free. Oh, fly, fly free. And as we wrap our arms around that beautiful memory of Clyde, may you put it in your heart hotel. May it be there in its special room. And when you need to call upon the energy of Clyde, you can just reach into that room that has his name on it and call forth his wisdom, his dedication, and his beautiful, unique, spiritual self. Know that Clyde would give wonderful hugs and would look right into your eyes. Although he may not have said many verbal words, he spoke from his heart. And so may we embody those, may we claim those gifts, and know that Clyde will help us live it and be it in our world. We open our hearts to the world, and we promise you, Clyde, we'll hold all of the people and animals that the earth brings and that our spirit can hold. So we open up our hearts to the world, and Clyde, we love you.
Thank you, Janet, and each one of you. Just take a moment to also wrap your arms around you. Just put your arms around you and feel Clyde's hug. And take a nice deep breath again. And be grounded and blessed. And so it is. Thank you so much, Janet. That was wonderful. Yes. Well, we have a speaker today, and I didn't want to take all the time because he's going to be coming up here and he's going to be talking about Isaiah, which, as you all know, or some of you might not have studied, Isaiah was quite a prophet. I read that somebody said that Isaiah wrote the entire Bible. You got a good guy to talk about today, Tim. So please welcome Tim Mauro.
Good morning. Thank
Good
you.
morning, Tim.
And I never had the chance to meet Clyde, but after this morning, I feel like I know him. And that's what this group is about, being a loving presence. So. But in any case, yes, it is a good morning. In fact, maybe a great morning. I mean, you're here, and I'm here. Nothing but the best, right? And Doti's here. And we have an important topic to explore. The title of this talk is The Metaphysics of Isaiah. I would also give it the subtitle, Your New Experience in 2024. And this is a great time to look into it. An important area that's easy to forget about, especially when your world out there starts changing drastically. And the challenge is put before us to harmonize with the change. The secret to meeting this challenge is to remember that behind all the confusion that comes with change is what we call the changeless one, with a capital C, changeless one, which is the essence of true harmony and peace. Dr. Ernest Holmes explained it this way, and I get this from page 83 of the Science of Mind textbook. Creation does not mean making something out of nothing. creation is the passing of spirit into form and is eternally going on. Spirit cannot change, for being all, there's nothing for it to change into. Dr. J. Scott Neal, my teacher for many years, drove this point home again and again. The only thing in the universe that never changes is change itself. So there's that within us that's eternal and eternally changeless, yet is always producing newness out here. See?
It sounds like a conundrum. How do you change the changeless?
Friends of the friendless.
I'd say go to a Zen temple and meditate on it for 5 or 6 years.
Thank you so much.
Now that brings us to the focus of this morning. Now, some of you, I know, think of yourselves as artists. In fact, I can see 2 people in this room who are artists on the professional level. Many of you may not identify that way, but in a very real way, we all are. Because each of us is busy creating a unique expression of life. Every day of your life is a work of art, and every experience in your life begins with you. Now, a person who's become accustomed to blaming others for the situation their life is in will hear something like that and get upset. Of course, I was taught in ministerial school years ago, if you're not getting anyone upset when you're speaking on Sunday morning or teaching classes, you're not doing your job very well. Still, I'd rather you didn't get upset. I'd rather you use that statement as a healing idea. You know, every day of your life is a work of art, and every experience in your life begins with you. And the tools you're using for this creation are, well, your thoughts, your actions, your words, and especially your beliefs. And the substance you're using is this universal intelligence, which we tend to call God, which is always responding to these tools. Now, if you don't like the experience you created yesterday or the year that you had in 2023, you have the option of beginning a new creation, starting when?
Today?
This second. Yeah. Just as a painter who looks at his or her latest painting and doesn't like what they see, they can get upset that it's not the masterpiece they intended it to be, or they can put it aside, get a brand new canvas on the easel, and allow themselves a new vision of what this new painting is going to look like, and then get busy with the brushes. Now, way too often I see people in teachings like this, taking classes and working with a practitioner of some type of metaphysical modality to get rid of this long list of problems they've lived with for 10, 20, or 30 years. And the minute the problems start getting healed or leaving their lives, they'll start to panic. Ever have that experience? I'm treading on unfamiliar territory. Sure, I was miserable before, but at least everything was familiar. At least I knew how to maintain it. Right? Then they'll get on the phone and beg the problems to return. Please, problems, come back. I didn't really mean for you to leave my life forever. Now, of course, I'm speaking metaphorically, but if one of those problems is an abusive relationship and you've ever found yourself literally on the phone calling the problem back, then I would strongly recommend getting on the phone and calling Doti, or calling a counselor and getting yourself into a healing situation. So, how do we begin this new experience? Well, let's turn to some very concise and clear advice given to us about 2,700 years ago by the prophet Isaiah, whom who was renowned by the ancient Hebrew tradition. But before we do that, let's take a moment to understand what a prophet from the Hebrew Bible is. The prophets were not fortune tellers, and they were not oracles, though many people seem to think they were talking about and writing about events that would happen in the 20th or 21st century. Not the case. The word for prophet in Hebrew is Nevin, or in Aramaic, Neviah. Both words describe a person who's skilled at going within and listening to that divine guidance. Someone who learns to see beyond the physical plane and then uses that insight to help the people around them along. And they practice what we call the mysticism of Middle Eastern culture. That's a topic we explored a few months ago in Janet's speaker series. If you missed it, I recommend finding it on YouTube. So Isaiah was thought to be a court prophet who advised kings and high-ranking officials. The other well-known prophets from the scriptures, Jeremiah and Ezekiel, were part of a priestly order during the low point in the history of Judea when Nebuchadnezzar conquered most of that part of the world and destroyed the temple in Jerusalem. This was a few decades after Isaiah's time. And when they would speak, they would or have a scribe write their words. They would use imagery that the culture they were speaking or writing to could understand and relate to. So let's look at some of the advice that was given to us by the prophet Isaiah. This is from chapter 43 of the book that bears his name, in what we call the Hebrew Bible or Old Testament. He started by saying, "Thus saith the Lord," which is a Middle Eastern way of saying, "I'd like to relay my understanding concerning the nature of God." Okay. Then he went on to say, more or less quoting God here, "Remember not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth, and you shall know it. I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." Now, this was written at a time when the once great nation of Palestine was in political and economic turmoil. Most people, including the political and spiritual leaders of the time, were waiting for God to come back down and fix everything. And some were wondering why he hadn't done so thus far. They would say, is there a law that Moses gave us that we're not following? Are we not performing the animal sacrifices and other temple rituals correctly? And why is God letting us go through this awful experience? Like many of us, the question many of us have asked at some point. And I can just imagine this upstart prophet hearing this and going off on a fiery sermon, telling these people, in effect, stop trying to get God to change his mind about you and get busy changing your mind about God and about yourself. See? So Isaiah was speaking to the people of his time, but whether he knew it or not, he was also speaking to the people of today. Now, I'm not just talking about the people in that same part of the world who are now facing similar problems. It's also, this is something that applies to all of us. How many of you know someone who's always upset with the world, upset with their lives, and upset with the people in their lives, and not willing to recognize the common denominator of everything they're upset with. And what is that? Themselves, right? So listen, everyone. There are enough people out there who are focused on what's wrong with the world and who's to blame for it. That job's been taken many times over. So, as students of teachings like this, it's our challenge and I would go so far as to say our responsibility to never stop focusing on the question, how can I be an example of what's right with the world? Even if no one else in my life is interested in participating. So how do we do this? Okay, let's take another look at the advice given to us by Isaiah. First he says, remember not the former things, neither consider the things of old. And by that he meant, stop dwelling on the good old days. Absolutely stop dwelling on the bad old days. In fact, wake up out of your daze, spelled D-A-Z-E, right? We all have a personal history with a multitude of valuable lessons on how to have a good life. Some are lessons on the right way, and others on the wrong way, on what not to do, right? They're both valuable if we pay attention to them. The problem is that so many people choose to hold on to everything about their past except these lessons. But they can certainly hold on to guilt or the resentment, the regret, or even reminiscing about the way it used to be in the good old days, but is no longer, which is every bit as counterproductive as those other things. And in all these cases, universal intelligence always responds to this old stuff in like manner, always bringing a new version of it into today. So it's no surprise when that kind of thinking inevitably brings the experience of lack and limitation, of poor health and general misery. We could say the same kind of experience that the Holy Land, quote unquote, was going through at the time of Isaiah. It's unfortunate how few people listen to him, but that's not a good excuse for us not to. Remember not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Then he goes on to say, behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth, and you shall know it. Which means, when you're through dwelling on the past, and you've nursed your mental wounds, look and see what God has in store for you in the here and now. A new experience, a new life experience greater than anything you've ever thought possible. Simply waiting for you to wake up to it. Notice he didn't say, behold, I will fix all your problems and make them disappear.
Darn.
Yeah, darn is right. And contrary to what a lot of people wishfully think, God is not a cosmic fix-it man, nor a cosmic bellhop. What God is eternal new creation, forever creating all things new. See? So when we see a person experience a seemingly miraculous healing in their physical health, or go from living in poverty to prosperity, and I've seen a few of these events in the 30 years plus that I've been a student of New Thought teachings. And I can tell you these things happen because the person realizes that each moment holds infinite possibilities for what universal mind can create. And these possibilities are simply waiting for our acceptance of them. The person wakes up to this understanding, then gives it something great and wonderful to create, and, most important, learns to live with it and be responsible for it. So, this brings us to an important question to ponder on. what experience are you preparing your consciousness for? What are you preparing to be responsible for? And are you sure it's not too big a task for God or universal presence? And yeah, some of you are giving me a bad look, like, I know there's no task that's too big for God, but what I'm asking is, are you sure it's not too big of a task? And be honest with yourself, because often we're too close to the situation, and so it's hard to convince ourselves that even God can handle it. But in truth, no task is too big. So this is what Isaiah was trying to get across when he went on to say, I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. You can just picture the images this statement would bring up for these people he was addressing, who would know what it's like to spend time in the dry Arabian deserts, learning the true meaning of thirsting and surviving on a very minimal amount of water. The idea of finding a watering hole with enough water to keep your livestock from biting the dust, and maybe even a few sips for yourself, would be a huge blessing. See? But a river out here in this vast wasteland, but why not? Again, I'm speaking metaphorically. I think you get where I'm coming from. Why not? This is supposed to be God talking. We're dealing with a power that's infinite, hence limitless. So why do we insist on limiting ourselves? Why do we insist on the next new creation in our lives to be just another small watering hole, or not much bigger than the one we survived on last week? Or why do we insist on the next source of income being the same as the minute paycheck or unemployment check that we received last month? Many people unwittingly choose to, but none of us has to. See? When we're dealing with an infinite power, that river of great prosperity, love, peace, bliss, or whatever you're seeking is ready to flow through your life and invite you to drink deeply from it. River in the desert. So remember not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth, and you shall know it. I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. So I'd like to challenge everyone here this morning and everyone watching on Zoom. Hi, Zoom people. Just to remember that the wisdom of Isaiah and Jesus of Nazareth and Dr. Ernest Holmes and Doti Boon and all the great thinkers throughout the ages is actually your wisdom, whether you've discovered it yet or not. So let that awakening happen in you, and a change for the better, which this moment holds, unfold for you in harmony. Are you all up for that? Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah. Oh, yeah, maybe. But it's good enough to be true, because you're good enough to be true. And so it is. And thank you for having me here this morning.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
And how are we doing on time?
We are doing well on time, and I think that did you have something that you wanted to play a song if we have time?
Only if we have time.
Let's do it.
The boss has spoken, so.
Yeah, okay. And while you're getting to your guitar, or guitar, Jan, did you want to present this candle?
Yes, absolutely. This is the candle that we made for Clyde and in his honor. And it's got all the different colors that he loved. It's got a little bit of green, a little bit of blue. He loved red. okay, and he loved black. And so this is his light, which is represented by this lit candle. This is his light that is forever in our hearts. And he took that light very seriously. And as we dedicate this candle to Clyde, we dedicate it also to each and every one of you. Each and every one of you that shines and shares your light with the world, and that we can share it with and for each other. And that's profound. And I want to thank you, Dottie, and you, Corky, for making it possible for us to come here. Reverend Dottie and Reverend Corky create this space for us to come and be a part of. And I want to also announce that our own Reverend Dottie and Ma, her spirit guide, will be on our speaker series. Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Just a couple of days.
And
But I want to offer to each of you, remember that light. That is Clyde. Clyde, you remember the light that we have for you.
Should we send that to his sister?
Jen, come get the light. Oh, I'm so sorry. Take the candle.
And Ed helps with all this.
Ed is amazing. Ed helped with everything. And I also want to say that Ed made it magnificent for us at Light of Lights.
Yay!
thank you.
All right. So this candlelight is that symbol of light, of healing, of hope, and I believe we ought to offer it to his sister. Does that
Yes,
sound good?
Yes. Well, at least we're going to send her a picture of it.
Beautiful.
Okay? So
Beautiful.
that she can see what we have here for representing Clyde
Our wonderful
in our
Clyde.
hearts. Okay?
Give it to the person who manages the mobile home.
She was delightful. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, okay. And now, one more time, we present Tim. You can just stay here if you want to, Janet. Okay.
I made a new decision as I woke up about a principle that I was always taught. Where my mind goes, my world always follows. So I'm taking a new direction with my thoughts. For the sake of being a survivor, I had really forgotten how to live. Until a voice inside whispered, I think you recognize that it's really time for something to give. So I'll let this end be a beginning. Empty this cup and fill it with something new. I don't need to know how or where it happens. I'll just be the vessel for it to shine through. I've heard a thing or two about painful endings. They're often new beginnings in disguise. So I'll release with love all that needs to go. in this new day with new eyes. So I'll release with love all that needs to go now, and take in this new day with new eyes. That's your song.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Next week, we have a wonderful speaker. Reverend Chris Brown is going to be speaking. Thank you so much. And I want to tell you what Chris found. You're not going to believe this. She found out, Robin found out that there is an orchid by the name of Reverend Doti Boon. Yeah, if you go and see reverenddotiboon.orchid, and it'll show you a picture. And it's purple and cream, and it looks like a face looking at you. And I remember a gentleman that I did a reading on, and he told me he was an orchid farmer in about 2016, 2017. And he'd got this brand new orchid that he developed, and he was going to name it after his wife, but they're getting a divorce, and he didn't want to do that. And so I think he should name his orchid. And I said, well, you could always name it Reverend Doti Boon. And he laughed, and I laughed, and he did. So I was telling a client of mine, and he said, I want one of those. I'm going to go buy it. I said, well, fine. I don't know where you buy orchids, but anyway. See, the whole thing is, I don't care for flowers because they die when you bring them in the house. I like them outside. And people are always growing orchids in the house. So I would never have had an orchid in my house because that's who I am. And now so don't say you won't. Because you never know what the universe is going to give you, okay? And Chris, what is your topic going to be next week? I think do we have it on here?
Yeah, it's peace, unity, love, wholesomeness.
Okay, there we go.
That was right?
Yes, peace, unity, love, wholeness. And then January 21st, we're going to have an ordination of Scout Bartlett. And he's going to be speaking, so please tell your friends. I mean, when a man with a purple beard shows up, it's time to come to church, okay? And so that's gonna be fun. Thank you so very much. And is there anybody here who would like to pass basket? What? Birthdays. Do we have any birthdays?
Yes,
We do?
we do.
What?
Clyde's.
Well, the Clyde, I think we pretty much honored him. It's hard to give him beads, but thank you anyway. Yeah. Yes, Lynn.
Oh, okay. If anyone wants to write their memoir or anything else, we have a new Zoom writing class that's starting this coming Tuesday. Joan is visiting. What an asset when she comes. And if you like original songs, I've had the opportunity to meet one of your singers, Tim Mauro, and we've been working on a series of brand new songs with paintings, illustrations, words, and music.
Oh, how wonderful.
And this is how you can find them on YouTube. So if you'd like to listen to this, your great musicians work with a little help from a writing friend, here we have it.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Lynn. A brand new experience. Okay. Yes, that is fantastic. I still need somebody to pass the basket. Anybody volunteer? Okay, thank you very much, Lonnie. And I want to thank you so much. This Christmas and the holidays, we saw a lot of people going through a rough time. So just to let you know that the money that you donate to CCL quite often gets turned around and given to somebody going through a difficult time. And that's what we've helped somebody pay their rent. We helped somebody fix their car. We've helped somebody get tires. So there's a lot of things that churches do to help people. If you yourself are in need of some money for something that's going on, please call me and say, Dottie, I'm going through a difficult time. and let us know what's happening so we can help. What? Yes, are you ready?
So the blessing,
Corky at the mic, please. Sorry. Gotta do it Zoom, which is
Okay. Okay. Are you tap dancing?
kind of only with one foot though.
Hi.
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 This blessing was created by the Reverend Joan Stutz.
Yay,
Yay! And so,
It's on your program.
back of your
Why don't you
program.
read along where it says blessing?
okay, and it says, I
I
give thanks for my spiritual community. I live in a world of freedom and abundance. I am happy to support my spiritual community. Thank you, Universal Spirit, for your everlasting love and support. And so it is.
Thank you so very much. I really do appreciate that. And we have coffee in the back, so if you want to get a cup of coffee and hang around, we'd appreciate it. And Corky, do you want to do the closing prayer since you got up here? Somebody could say no to Dottie, you know?
What? This is a new world.
I know. So why I've been practicing saying yes to you for 40 years. Why should I change now? What?
Isaiah said so.
Isaiah said so, yeah.
No, I don't think it would be a good idea. Okay, so our prayer for today, for our closing prayer for church, is that everyone is enriched? Okay. We'll start with that, are we? So everyone is enriched by what was said here, what was done here, the energy that was freely given, and that everyone sees that there's abundance. There really is abundance. And sometimes you need to change your definition of what abundance is, perhaps. And just know that where your mind goes, where your energy goes, is truly creating your life, that you're walking through on a path. And that path can be either full of garbage or it can be full of the most beautiful flowers that you've ever seen. The Reverend Doti Boon orchid or whatever. And just think that you have seeds in your hand, and those are your thoughts. That's your energy going forward. And as you sow the seed, as you throw the seed out in front of you, that's what you're going to walk through. So perhaps you would like to have a smoother pathway in front of you. And the way you do that is throw those seeds of contentment, of wholeness, of serenity, and let yourself be part of what you are creating, and know that you're going to create a better future for yourself right here and right now. And thank you so much for doing that for yourself. Blessed be.
And for those of you who don't know, Corky is a certified hypnotherapist, and she has an office now where she's going to be seeing people who want to change their life. So you got to get a hold of her. Thank you so much, Corky. This has been a beautiful day. Thank you. And I just can still feel Clyde's spirit here, and I know that's part of what's been going on with us. Don't forget, tune in on Tuesday to Zoom. It's on your program. And ask for predictions. I did predictions last Sunday. And so this is a time when you need to get a sense of you can change the outcome. Remember, if somebody predicts something, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. It means that right now it has the capacity to happen. And you're stronger than that if you really want to change it. And Ed, who do we have on Zoom?
We have Ann Corbin.
What, Ann?
Hi, Ann. Oh, wait a minute, let me just say something to the Zoom. Hey, so they know what's going on here. I'm just kidding.
I don't know, but a man is rushing towards me.
Not the first time, not the last.
Okay, thank you, Ed.
We have men on the other side just waiting.
Oh, yay, yay.
So what's happened here is I decided to try and change this up, the layout physically, because we're not getting good sound. It was feedback at times. So this is an experiment. If you like it, let Dottie know. If you don't like it, let Dottie know. But it's easier for me. The other thing that what happened on Zoom that your audio was so soft is I changed to try and get better intimate sound to you. Instead of having one microphone from a little webcam in the middle of the room and it picks up everything, but none of it really great, I'm tied into our mixer board. I don't want to get technical on that, but you're getting sound this time from each microphone. So hopefully what I'm hearing when I'm on my iPad monitoring, it sounds more intimate, and that's part of this experience, to make it look and feel good, so it's worth attending.
Thank
And on
you.
that, I go back to my cave.
Okay, so, and Annie, you were the first one to receive acknowledgement. We're so glad you're on Zoom, and we pray for your health and your energy there in Oregon.
Who else is on?
And Ed,
Okay, so Andy's on, Cheryl is on, Desmond is on, I haven't seen him in a while, Donna Christensen, Jeannie, Laura, Lauren, Lisa, Karpinski, Maria, and Lamont, Patty and Joyce, of course Sky, and Eileen, West Coast Eileen.
yay, thank you people for watching. We really do appreciate it, and we're so glad you've taken the time out of your Sunday morning to tune on to Zoom. Yes,
I just had a little impression of Clyde I would like to share.
Can you go up to the mic? Sorry, I have to do this.
Just had a while ago an impression of Clyde. And first of all, he was saying, gee, I wondered when you'd do this. He was wondering when we'd know. And then he said, I'm still here. I'm planning to help.
good, we like that. Thank you, Clyde. Thank you so much, Lynn. And as I said, we have coffee in the kitchen. We have chairs for you to sit on. And please, if there's somebody here that you don't know, introduce yourself. This is not just a church, this is a community. And when you're in a sacred community, you'll be amazed how much support there is. And we can't support you if we don't know who you are. So this is a time you can just walk up and say, hi, my name is, and I'm the Reverend Doti Boon. I'm glad to have you all here. Thank you so very much. And thank you, Ed, for this new configuration. I think it works pretty well. Yeah.
Would anyone like one of the pictures? Those pictures would go.
If anybody wants a picture of Clyde, please, okay? Lonnie has one, okay? I feel like an auctioneer. Well, I'm going, and Jan?
I want one for the UCM office.
Okay, there you are. Thank you so much. Okay.
I have the impression of him standing right there.
Oh,
You know, he was very tall and thin.
right. Thank you. And thank you all for bringing in his energy. That really is important, and really is special.
That was always amazing when we had meditation, and he would start, he would talk about what he saw and felt,
Right.
and he would talk for a long, sometimes.
For a usually shy man, he would really, when he was being able to bring in spirit, he would just talk with messages.
Or if you talked about photography.
Or photography, yeah, obviously.
Talk your ear off.
He took pictures of my ordination,
Uh-huh.
and I saw him there, you know, click, click. I didn't pay any attention. A couple of Sundays later, he gave me a package with about probably 20 printed photos.
Right.
20, probably 20. And
Yeah.
I sent him a donation
And he never wanted to take money. He said, oh, no, that was his love. And I know, he did the most amazing pictures. Yeah, he had to buy paper and ink and all that. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Can I just say one?
Yes.
One thing about Clyde,
Go up to the mic.
Go up to the mic, Chris. We're all gonna do it.
I hear somebody, it's fun. Our next week's speaker. Yes, Reverend Chris?
Hi there. I sort of heard this in the field, but I wanted to put it in the field a little bit more specifically. The Monday night meditations that we had at the other building, they were once a week, and they were peace meditations. And there's a whole story about when it started and how long it progressed, and it was there for a long time. It's actually being continued now. However, back on Clyde, when we would do a 40-minute meditation, it felt like 40 minutes. We'd do a long meditation.
It was only 10, but it felt like.
It's pretty long. And then we would share afterwards. And what Clyde brought into the space was the multi-dimensionality of what was going on in the world, on the planet, in the cities, in the mountains, in the rivers, and all the way up through the dimensions into the spiritual realm. And he would share this tableau, and oftentimes a tableau of pain, where we could sit and we could feel things that we hadn't felt, hadn't paid attention to. And he helped us focus. I mean, this was a peace meditation, and it gave me focus. Where do I want this peace energy to go when I stand up and leave here an hour from now? And it was just I would call him a verbal artist. And his humility, his love, his self-effacement, and yet his immense sensitivity and his ability to articulate in lovely emotional ways that people could take from. So, thank you, Clyde.
Thank you, Chris. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. We do appreciate it.